So I've got 8:30 on both my device and the clock in the room, so I'm going to call the meeting of the Law and Government Liquor Commission or committee to order. Can we have a roll call, Kathy, please?
Sauger.
Here.
Wagner.
Here.
Hendricks. Campbell. Here. Kunkel.
Here.
Shorten.
Here.
Altough.
Here. May I have a motion to allow Ms. Wagner to attend the meeting electronically? Mr. Sauger, seconded by Mr. Shorten. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Welcome, Ms. Wagner. You're official.
Thank you. Thank you.
Minutes. Anyone have any comments or corrections? Or can I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented? Mr. Shorten, seconded by Ms. Campbell. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. I don't believe there is any public comment, but you want to take a peek and make sure I'm correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Member comments this morning. Any member comments? Seeing none, moving on. There is no new business with regard to liquor licenses or anything else underneath that particular category. Legislative update. Alicia, I noticed that you did walk in. Is there anything you want to highlight or note on the written report that you did provide us?
Yes.
Please, may I invite you up to the table then?
So a couple things I want to highlight. First and foremost, there's going to be some Illinois Transportation Committee meetings that are coming up. Some of them have already passed, but most important for our purposes is the one that's coming up on August 28th at 10 a.m. It is, I don't know if it is officially set yet, but the rumor is that it's going to be at Elgin Community College. And that's for Kane and McHenry counties. And again, just wanted to make sure that you guys are aware, 10 a.m. There's some other meetings that are coming up as well, talking about transit and the MMA, which is not mixed martial arts, but instead, I know, I've got to throw it out there every time. It's the what Metropolitan Mobility Agency? But I have a hard time keeping a straight face with that one. Anyhow, but you're looking at September 18th and October 16th as well. Also, I'm pleased to report that our request for community funding, or community project funding, is tentatively within the transportation budget that was put out of the Appropriations Committee. Now again, that's all subject to change. We'll see where that goes. So don't get too excited, and you're not going to see a final federal budget anytime soon. Matter of fact, it's unlikely that it'll even come before the election. So that's also something for you to know too. Finally, there's some Supreme Court rulings that came by but again, it's all in the report. Feel free to, if you have any questions, let me know. I don't want to extend your meeting if.
No, I would just ask, once you get perhaps comments from our state's attorney on how some of those cases will affect us, we include that in a future report.
All right, that sounds good. We'll do that.
Because there were a couple that were obviously, I thought, relatively important.
Yes.
Ultimately. And then again, just to let the committee know, and Peter, I'll include you, I do know that there is a great deal of collaboration going on in the background from former legislators, former county board chairs, and our transportation department. I know, Mr. Sauger, maybe I need to connect you with some of those people on putting together a presentation from McHenry County about the transit and appearing in front of one of the hearings. So if anybody has anything that they want to add, please do so. But Scott Hennings is
I met yesterday afternoon.
Yeah.
Kind of an initial preparation. Certainly expecting Chairman Bueller will be providing comment at the hearing on the 28th, and also anticipating that McCog will have a voice at the table as well. So kind of working to get our messages together.
And just so you guys know, former State Senator Jack Schaefer actually was in the legislature when the RTA and the consolidation was created. And then both Ed Sullivan and Michael Tryon, Ed Sullivan, who is the state representative from Lake County, Michael Tryon, obviously from McHenry County and County Board, were both on the mass transit when the original suggestion for consolidation came up. So they're working real collaboratively with the chairman and Scott on trying to put down some historical and then some perspective, because obviously several years ago it failed. So
One final comment on this. I wasn't able to get into this report that ISACO's Energy and Environment Committee did take place yesterday, and perhaps Member Campbell can help me with this one. Lake County has a new recycling initiative that they're looking into it's the Hefty Bag Program, which is to recycle your loose plastics that are wrappings that for the most part cannot be recycled, and they give a demonstration of that program at that committee. There was also a review of Keene County's comprehensive environmental plan and how they implemented it as well.
Yeah, no, that was a great presentation. We had presentations on both. The Hefty, it's an orange bag. It's kind of similar to the blue bag program they used to have in Chicago, but it is for all. I was just starting to throw things out like, should I save it? Should I save it? Because it actually sounds like when we first initially talked about it, it was kind of like, is this just a way for Hefty to get, a little extra dollars by promoting this program? But in fact, it looks very promising. So, and they're starting it in Keene, right? Was it, or they're reviewing it at this point?
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
It's just a review.
But no pilot program, they're just reviewing the options.
Yeah, I think
of,
that, I guess maybe
coordination.
we're in the early stages for that one, yeah, but they did pass their climate action plan.
Anything else?
That's all I've
Any
got.
questions, comments? Thank you very much, appreciate it. Moving on to the consent agenda. Does anyone want anything removed? Explained? Then can I have a motion to Mr. Sager, seconded by Mr. Kunkel? Can I have a roll call? Get him on the record. Can I have a roll call, Kathy, as there's money expended here, please?
Kunkel,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Wagner,
Yes.
Sager,
Yes.
Shorten,
Yes.
Altough.
Yes. There are no presentations, but we do have, yay, exciting budget reviews this morning. Our first is from the Public Defender's Office, so can I ask you guys to come up and entertain us for the next several moments about your proposals?
Yes, good morning, everybody. This year's budget, as you can see, is on our ClearGov website, which is really impressive and neat, and it's
It is
full
impressive.
color. And we have listed there on the, I guess it would be the first page. All I have is the printout, but the public defender, these mandated services, actually quite simple and straightforward. And we're mandated to provide legal representation for indigent people that are appointed, indigent clients that are appointed by the courts. We have also get involved in juvenile court and abuse and neglect cases, and we also represent, I call them the odd cases, in mental health, and sometimes we get appointed in adoption cases, and a lot of these throughout on the civil side. But our general, bread, meat and potatoes is criminal defense legal work. And that's really our mandated functions by statute. And we really don't have any non-mandated things that we do. We're busy enough with what they tell us to do, the courts. And on the ClearGov website, it shows everything that the office is composed of. The goals for 2025 to stay involved in the specialty courts, because we like those.
Those are great.
And we are heavily involved in those. And then there's the performance measures and everything's, it's kind of a simple budget.
What about staffing?
The what?
Staffing.
Staffing is, we just added one last year for the Safety Act, and we're doing fine now.
You don't foresee any need for additional staff? Everything's
No,
kind of settled
A
and,
lot of this stuff comes down out of the state. They changed the law, and then all of a sudden you have an opening in one of the courtrooms, and we would need an additional person.
any other questions for?
Mark has a modest upgrade on one.
Oh, that's right,
administrative
yes, a
position.
position reclassification on one of we have 3 administrative assistants, and we have 1 supervisor, and then we have 2, I think they're grade 5s, administrative assistants. And when the one is gone, one of the equal ones does all the work of the supervising one. So I was gonna ask, I'm asking to move her up to grade 6 to give her a little higher priority because of the increased responsibilities that she has.
And is that a significant change in the budget?
No, it's listed on that position classification. Yeah, I think
It's under 3,000.
Yeah, under $3,000.
It's a modest change. A lot of it, remember, the county board approved pretty significant increases for our attorneys earlier this year. That's reflected, so you do see a growth between 24 and 25, but that's largely due to the mid-year increases that we did.
And you have to remember our administrative staff is very small. It's originally started off, when I was there were 4 attorneys. And it's, as you can see on the positions, it's grown drastically in the last 20 to 25 years. But the administrative staff do an immense amount of work. I mean, it's, even though
That's what mandates do.
Even though we're slick with the computer, they still deal with a lot of paper because a lot of our clients don't have the latest computer equipment that they're working with.
Mr. Kunkel?
Seems like clients are running just a little under projected, is that correct?
Yeah, under projected, and I was surprised by
It's
that.
nice with the Safety Act to say that maybe that's not as good.
Yeah, I thought to myself, either they're not arresting people like they used to, or they're arresting people
Not
that
sure
have
that's
won.
the case.
So,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
that's it? Okay.
That's it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And the state's attorney's office is next. Good morning.
Morning, everyone. Tia told me I've got the teams here. I also brought a flash drive, so whatever is easiest.
If you do the Teams, we can share it to the board member that's online. You just
Okay.
join without your
That's
mic,
what they
share your
told me.
screen.
So if you, do I just, you're gonna hook that up, right?
Well, you can just join, you don't have to connect to the,
Oh, I don't? Okay, all right.
just join and then join without your mic.
Can I
and,
just-
Yeah, you can do that.
Sometimes it's so easy.
New
right?
technology, what else is new? Story of our lives. Let me just join this then. They had told me if I did this, my presentation through the Teams meeting, that if somebody was online, they could. Okay. While I'm trying to get this up and running here. There it goes. Going now. Yeah. And then
Okay. Open your PowerPoint and
I can just open it down here and then I can just grab it, right?
then share your screen.
Right. There it goes. And then, oops. That one, right? Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, will it not look like that though? Mine, there it goes, okay. Good morning, sorry about that. Just wanted to make sure we got that up for everybody to see. And I did send the presentation document to Kathy, so if anybody would like, you're welcome to. I'm gonna try not to read to you, but I did want to put a lot of information into this. Really, my focus today was to give you a good range of what we've been working on, because we've been working really hard to reorganize. Also, a lot of the changes in the law, especially the Safety Act, the 95% of the burden on that was on the state's attorney's offices. So I know we asked for more FTEs to accommodate a lot of these changes in the laws. And so my focus today is also to let you know what we've done with those changes, to show that basically we are keeping the community safe. We are protecting, the victims who have been, have a crime committed against them, and we're still saving money, even though we've had to change and add to our staff. We're still trying to do everything that's asked of us per the state, the federal mandate, and keep that going. So, again, I will not read to you because you guys have all access to this. This is just what's mandated by the state statute. And then our highlights this year, I'm really, again, proud of. I think we have accomplished so much in the last couple of years with these changes and reorganization that we made. And in the civil division, we formulated a litigation team, and I think some of you actually have worked with some of our litigation team in the past. And they've handled, in the last year, 91 cases. And in 2024, they're projected to handle 110. Since fiscal year 17, we have negotiated the county labor law matters at no cost to the taxpayers. And I'll just, I know a question was asked last year about that, but I went back and looked at it, but it really is no cost, because when our administration came in, Patrick, in the fiscal year 2016-17, we actually have started with one less civil attorney. We didn't delete any duties and responsibilities for the civil attorneys, but we created this labor law team to do in-house counsel instead of pay outside, and that's where all that saving was. So it really was at no cost, because those attorneys were already there and already paid for. So we did this in addition with no cost. So that is how I explain that, no cost. And then our January 2024 civil team has handled 66 litigation files. 23 of those cases have been successfully dismissed or won with no money paid out. So that's huge. And actually, we went back and looked, and from 2022, basically, we have not paid so far paid out any monies in any of these settlements.
Nice.
So
Thank you.
very proud of that fact. And criminal. We've had a lot on our plate in the criminal division. I've seen the attorneys in the last 2 years have been there for 8, and I've never seen people work so hard. And I really mean that. I'm not just saying that. We've added more attorneys, and I thought, well, this will give them a break, relief, and it really hasn't. But we're a couple years in, a year in, we're really starting to see that what the Safety Act has brought. These people now have to work on the weekends and holidays, and it's just brought a lot more work in the office. So with that said, we have tried a really big case this year, the DCFS case, which I'm sure everybody's familiar with, which got national coverage, and won that case, which was a really, it was just a horrifying case, but we took our staff and made sure we represented the parties well. So we successfully prosecuted offenders in drug-induced homicide. Drug deaths have surpassed just there's so many.
They're higher now than they've ever been.
Yeah, there's so many records out there.
I'm
People say,
amazed,
right,
yeah.
more than we've lost more in the last 4 years than in World War II. I've heard that. I've heard a lot of things, so I'm not gonna quote them, but there's the deaths from drug deaths have been, it's just heartbreaking, and we have really focused on keeping our numbers lower if possible, and not only trying these drug-induced homicide cases, but we're also putting in programs or working with programs that are trying to rehabilitate, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But in a couple big arrests this year that were just huge. We have brought in some, with the turnover that we had in the last year, we've brought in some really well-seasoned attorneys, and those are some of the attorneys that have helped on these big cases, and they also are great mentors to our new attorneys. We had a lot of young attorneys that we brought in, also with a lot of the turnover. So we kind of made that work even better with our work chart, and And then required the cannabis dispensaries to, basically what this is about is not about whether you're for or against, but they were falsely advertising. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit because it brought money to McHenry County because we won these cases and actually got some money back to offset that false advertising. We have our victim witness program, which is still one of our great programs. It's also, we added one more victim witness coordinator this year. When we looked at other counties that were similar size, they had several more victim witness coordinators. We only had 2. We brought another one in, and I will tell you, the 3 of them are busy. They are, every single victim or witness has a victim witness coordinator with them along the whole journey of the case, not just in the day of court, but the whole journey. So it's a really we're very proud of that position, or having those positions in our office. And we are looking at, we were awarded more grant money last year, and we're looking into a possibility of getting some more money there, hopefully, because those are some of the places where you can, the state does and the federal government offers grant money. So our deferred prosecution program, I put some charts in here just to give you a little bit of an idea of where we're at. This program, I tell you every year, I talk about it, but it's so important to me, and I think the fact that the recidivism percentage has stayed 7% for the last like 5 or 6 years is just amazing to me. I mean, these people really basically, 93% of these people that come through this program are not committing again. And when you look at those statistics that 20% of the criminals commit 80% of the crimes and such, this is a great statistic to have. So it also shows the monies that are brought in with this program and the community service hours. So obviously as the more we are able to accept, the more it goes up. And the acceptance is not about money or anything like that. It's about the crime and if the person makes it through the program.
Is this also the program that we were talking about, working with Workforce 2 to help people find employment?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to make sure.
Actually, I've learned more about more programs that are offered by the state, the county, the state, other counties through this program that, you know, I could really go into this, and I'm not going to, I'd be here all day, but we've got some great programs in the area, and we've really been able to help. You know, sometimes somebody comes in that did a lot of it's theft, or, you know, they're lower caliber crimes. But, you know, somebody down on their luck, and we've been able to, between the attorney and the admin that run this program, they're able to get those people some help, like, you know, they didn't know they could go to the food pantry and things like that. So it's really kind of sometimes just getting somebody where they need to be. They really weren't somebody who committed crimes. They were more somebody who just was in a bad place. So great program. And with that said, the domestic abuse deferred prosecution program, which we added a couple years ago, because with this program, normally we didn't add in any type of domestic abuse, but we were finding that the victims were not following through. And trying to figure out what would be the best way to, you know, just kind of counteract this. We started this program, which is mostly counseling. These people, it's a longer program, and there's a lot of counseling. And as you can see so far, knock on wood, we have had no reoffenders, which is awesome. It's still very young in the program, but it's kind of nice to say we have had nobody who's reoffended, which in domestic abuse is very common. So our Way Out program is running smooth. Patrick started this program when he came on board again to give people who were trying to rehabilitate from alcohol, drug, mental health abuse, and New Direction. We partnered with New Directions in 2020, and they've just been rocking the house. They're doing phenomenal. We support them with our drug asset forfeiture funds, and they've done a great job on, you know, basically helping the people in the community get help, especially people who have no benefits. And there's just a data sheet that they send us every month. They'll give us stats so you can see that in the presentation when you look at it. Crimes Against Children Task Force. We started this last year. This was one of our goals with the investigators that we brought on for the Safety Act. We also wanted to give them another purpose where we felt like we needed help in the McHenry County in general. So what this task force does is we have 22 of the 29 local police departments that can reach out to our investigators when they have a crime against a child, and we can give them additional help in just all the background that goes into helping those children and get these cases to go forward, work with the CAC and our investigators that work in this specifically are more trained in this area as well. So we also repurposed with the addition of the staff that we added was mostly investigators and attorneys, victim witness coordinator. We repurposed our admin staff. We didn't know if we would be able to handle not adding any support with adding all those people. But we reorganized and repurposed, and we also built our own in-house technology team, which has been, the light bulb went off. I mean, it just has been phenomenal. Technology is growing every day. It's not even every year, it gets a little bit more. It's like every day something changes. And our obligation to even, when it comes to evidence, is just taken a whole different direction in the last couple of years with, barely no more flash drives and disks. It's all links and cloud space, and you've got to have people that understand how to do this. And we have a great IT department, but they just couldn't be there for us all the time. So we repurposed some positions and created our, and I'll let you guys read through this, but man, have they been helpful, and to have them in-house is great. We're right now just launching a new software for our evidence storage, and they've been doing a great job. So we wouldn't have been able to do this without them, truthfully. I don't think our IT staff could have given us that much time and support. They'll be training each individual in our office, and it's all covered within in-house, so that's really nice for us. I just wanted to put this on your radar also with some of the things that we did in the last few years. Patrick actually joined several other states' attorneys in the United States in a litigation lawsuit against pharmacies and drug manufacturers that were over-prescribing opioids and pain medicines, prescription drugs. So far, we've brought in just a little almost $1.5 million, but we are due 3.14, and it'll probably go higher than that. All that money goes towards McHenry County mental health. It doesn't go to our office at all. It's all gone, and all that's come in is all going to McHenry County mental health. So that's a huge chunk of money and that was just something that Patrick
took the initiative
to do, exactly. That was not something that was mandated by law. And then the cannabis lawsuit settlement, and I just want to explain too, again, this is not a for or against, but what we realized was that the advertising that they were putting out was false. And there was a lot of false information in advertising, so we brought that to light, and we won that lawsuit, and we've got money coming in regularly. Again, that money can only go towards any kind of informational advertising to the public.
Educational opportunities
Right.
and informational.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then, so for our goals for next year, I know to continue doing what we're doing with the litigation with the labor law, and then to work with the county Division of Transportation for possible acquisition of the new salt dome. I had to ask Norm about that one. But that's just to put a salt dome on the other side of the county. We have one over here, and so in the winter, when they need the salt, the trucks don't have to come back and forth so far. And then a stronger bond with the elected officials and department heads to provide whatever you need. And in our goals in our criminal division, we want to really get out there and make sure that the community knows what we're doing and knows that we're there for them, for their safety and for, you know, whatever their needs are within our range. And then the crimes against children, we are really focused on building in that area. It saddens me to see how much comes in. This week we had I was saying this week, but it was one day. We had 3 shelter cares yesterday. I mean, that's a lot in 1 week. So it just is ongoing, and we want to really make sure we're covering that, you know, the children in our county. And then we want to continue to build in our strength in our office of those who we prosecute and also those who we try to help and get them into programs. And then our FTE report, again, these are things you can look at your leisure. That this org chart shows you the breakup per FTE, and this is actually our physical org chart. And this is our asset forfeiture funds. This is our drug asset forfeiture funds as they come in and go out. If we don't use them regularly, we could lose, like our drug grant, we would have to pay monies back to it. But we pay the way out program, we are committed to paying them on a monthly basis. We sponsored another certified alcohol and drug counselor, which is through Workforce. We paid for some transcripts, and then we also, usually we pay for the NAS, Narcotics Anonymous workbooks with those funds too. The money laundering money, we brought in a lot of, we had a couple of big cases, and it's hit or miss with these because they're not easy to try, because a lot of it is, you know, they come in and out periodically. You can't I don't know, I'm losing my train of thought, but basically these, you can't count on this money coming in regularly. The drug money comes in more, the drug forfeiture comes in on a more regular basis. But that technology division, the biggest part of building that was not changing those grades a little and bringing in some different people to accommodate different skills. It was the equipment. And we were able to, the money laundering money, we were able to buy most of that equipment through that money, which you can see was $40,000. We also are in partnership with McHenry PD for a Celebrate. It's a software that is for phone dumps, right? For all, you know, which every crime anymore is a phone dump, whether it's a traffic ticket or, you know, whatever. It seems like everybody's on their phone doing something. So a lot of phone dumps. And expert witness fees. Some of these trials, it's unbelievable how much you have to pay. I mean, that $48,000 was probably for 2 or 3 witnesses. That was not for like 20 cases. It was 2 cases. And then we did, with the new investigators, we used it for uniforms for them and some office equipment for them. Their uniforms include bulletproof vests. They have to be purchased every 5 years. It's the most expensive equipment that we have to buy in our office by far. Well, that I guess in technology. Add now. Budget reductions, I always add this sheet since FY16. We've done in-house CLEs. We're certified to do that, so we've saved money there. Our asset forfeitures funds have allowed us to save over $3 million. We brought in a grand jury court reporter, which has saved us every year quite a bit of money. The labor law negotiations, we figured out per year from that year has saved us. And I'm sorry, I said 300 million on the asset forfeitures funds was 300,000. And then we've been awarded over $1 million in grant funds since that time between our drug grant and our victim witness coordinator grant. I also just wanted to add that our contractual services and commodities, when we came in FY 2016, the previous administration gave us a budget in contractual services and commodities of $238,000. We still are not there yet. We have tried really hard with everything that we've had to add on with more people. Every association and membership due has gone up. Fuel has gone up. We've had to add more cars for our investigators. We've only gone up where things have been, like with the appellate prosecutor, when it went $6,000 up, we have no choice, we have to pay that, it went up. So those are the kind of things that we have done there. We are again gonna try to only do that this year and try to stay flat, even though inflation's gone up in all these other places. So I feel like it is a savings, even though it looks like it went up. And
It's remarkable
That's
when you
it.
compare what you've done over the years, though, in steadily trying to reduce the amount of money with all the standard mandated increases, inflation, et cetera.
right, and
Remarkable job.
that's why I just wanted to put that up, because I know that, you know, in the last couple of years, we have asked for more FTEs, but it was truly to help us to do our job, you know, the job that's mandated by the federal government, so.
And I don't know if it's the coordination between your now in-house counsel and our human resources, or if we've just beaten people down or they've gotten used to our current county board's positions. But I am flabbergasted at how easy the last several negotiations of our contracts
Well, the
seem
contracts are
to
mature,
be.
as are, you know, your HR director had done it a number of times too, and she's trained the new HR director, so I'm expecting we're gonna be able to continue. I know Kyle's stepping in that role and doing good about it.
But it's appreciated, or at least noted. Anybody have any questions? Mr. Sauer?
I have a couple of questions, but
Sure.
first some comments. I want you all to know how grateful I am, and frankly, how proud I am of the work that you all do in the State's Attorney's Office. I think that you all have what I consider to be a very visionary, very collaborative, very communicative department. And I think that that's evidenced every single day. And I want you to hear that, because I want you to know how much we appreciate it and how much we frankly rely upon that. It's almost become routine for me to think that about the department. I think that's a positive thing. But I want to say that I truly appreciate the attention that you have to fiscal management and oversight. I appreciate the strong organizational efforts that you all have gone through to absorb additional demands upon the department, but also to do it in a manner which is strongly collaborative with municipalities, et cetera. The task force efforts that you have across the board, not just one, not just two, but across the board is very, very strong. The communication that you have on a routine basis with not only this board, but the public at large, to let us know what's going on and what's happening and what you all are doing about it, how you're resolving issues is remarkable. And the data is just incredible. I mean, when you're talking about recidivism, when you're talking about the domestic defender reductions, when you're talking about the basic data in terms of the number of accomplishments and resolutions that you have are in my mind, just remarkable. So I want to say thank you, and I want you to know how proud we are of that. But I do have two questions. The first is, as a result of the SAFETY Act, you indicated that the attorneys are working overtime, they're working weekends, they're working holidays and that type of thing. How can that continue? I mean, honestly, I mean, we can't work people to death. You know, they're going to go someplace else. So how are we going to keep them here with that type of demand?
I'm going to let, I wanted to introduce Randy Fries because she's going to be our state's attorney, and I am going to defer to Randy to answer.
So it really was a thought. Patrick came to us just very recently and said, I really do think we should consider adding additional attorneys. Lisa and I talked about it, and We're very confident right now. I think Lisa just briefly mentioned, but we just got some new software. IT helped us get some new software. And I'm really hopeful that some of the software that we're getting is going to help automate some portions of the jobs. That is taking a lot of our attorneys' job. I'm really hopeful with the development of our little own in-house IT that they're going to be able to take some of that work off of our attorneys' backs, and that all of a sudden the mundane parts are going to be handled much quicker, much more efficiently, and I think that will save the attorneys some time to work on the things that only they can do, you know, getting ready for a trial, calling a victim, or negotiating a case. We also, thank you to the county board for approving raises for our attorneys, have been able to hire some more experienced attorneys. So all of a sudden, we've been able to get people who have been doing this job for a long time, who have the experience and aren't going to take the time that it takes a newer, unexperienced attorney to handle, you know, just a standard case. And so I'm hopeful there that we're going to start, again, we have people who can not only train our younger staff, our less experienced staff, but that they can also take a little bit more from them so that our newer staff, our less experienced staff can quickly learn and get up to speed. So that's what I'm hopeful. We really did think about it. We thought whether 1 or 2 would be appropriate, but I think first, we need to see how that software works, and 2, we just had a new experienced attorney start yesterday. He's in the back watching today. I think he's going to be able to make a difference along with a few others. So I really do think that we can't make a decision like that. I don't want to add employees in haste. I think let's see where we are come a year from now, and then certainly we'll give you reasons and justifications if we need to add new attorneys, but I am very hopeful and I think we can handle it. I really do.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Can I tack on to
Please.
that? Even more importantly, you've gotten newer attorneys. Do you see that the morale for the older individuals or the people who have been here longer, that too has improved with some of the ability? Okay. Just
Without a doubt. So
without
I
a
think, yeah.
retention is as important as hiring new.
Absolutely, and I think we're in a really good spot right now.
Thank
We're
you.
excited.
We are full. We're completely full, which is again, thanks to the county board for allowing us to do that. We would not have been full. I can predict we would not have been full had not that happened. It just, I think morale has really gone up. I see a change in that. Plus, people aren't covering 2 or 3 spots that were vacant, and that was really difficult. That was very hard. So
that feedback is real important to us when we do listen to you and we think that your advocacy is appropriate and then we act. It's nice to know that what we did actually had the effect we were hoping for. So thank you.
it was a game changer.
Yeah. Thank you. Sorry.
Just one
Yes.
more question, and that is, I'm actually astounded with the number that you just reported with regards to FOIAs. I mean, you're only projecting 90 in this coming year. How is that possible? I mean, to me, I see the FOIA demands becoming almost deathly, if you will, to local units of government. And so how is it that you all are only dealing with a relatively few number of FOIAs?
We're pretty lucky. We try to be transparent in what we do already, so maybe there isn't a need. I honestly can't answer that. I certainly wouldn't like to be inundated with more FOIAs. We're happy where they are. We can manage them. But
I think also, from what I've picked up as well, is, you know, because there are certain rules and regulations that, you know, if the FOIA comes in, the list has to, there's certain guidelines where if it's a financial listing, it has to already be listed in that way, you know, there has to be something already in place, otherwise then, you know, then it's a no, you know, there's nothing to show. So I think in some of those we can dismiss them pretty quickly. I've seen that in our civil division who handles those, but.
All right, well, and I appreciate that, thank you. When conversing with colleagues at the municipal level, I mean, it is just becoming unbelievably cumbersome. And there seems to be little recourse to this. So how, and not wanting to add anything else to your very large list already, how do we work to help local units of government do a better job of efficiently handling FOIAs? How do we do that?
Well, we always have to be available, number one. I mean, we're available to take those calls, work collaboratively. I think the majority that I've seen, or at least that I've been involved in the FOIA regard, is we get a lot of FOIAs regarding pending investigations or charges or things like that. We regularly work with law enforcement to let them know what we believe is okay to be put out, and we try to be as responsive as quickly as possible. I think that's the most we can do. Again, just be available and work together and try to find a solution.
Well, I'm hoping that maybe we can extend our knowledge and our expertise to the local units of government that are really having a hard time with this. I mean, we're having our local units producing thousands of pages in response and never being picked up. Now, that's just wrong. I mean, and it's becoming more and more and more common. So I would like to see some type of effort to outreach to local units of government to say, let's work together to try to be able to better manage and understand how we respond to this massive wave.
Yes.
And I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, perhaps that's something that you can discuss with Administrator Austin and Shared Services, okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I would actually think that there would have to be, if people are gonna do that and they're not gonna pick it up, isn't there any kind of legal recourse for that?
No.
Or there may?
No.
I am sure one of the FOIAs we had right when in the beginning, when I first started, was some college student trying to get a paper done. And because the questions were asked, I'm like, we're doing somebody's, college report. It was just ridiculous. But, you can't ask those questions. It's, it came out as a good thing. The Freedom of Information Act, I mean, it looks good until it gets abused, and then
It's always
it's
the same thing.
horrifying.
Conceptually, it sounds great. In practical application,
So,
it's a
but I
mess.
think it'd be a good conversation in a meeting, and maybe see what we could do to help. It might be to the point where we would have to hire another person just to do that in our office.
Or there could be standards that are accepted across the board throughout McHenry County that every municipality or every unit of local government would follow, and then there's some uniformity as well. So I got enough.
I'm sorry, I took you kind of off too.
Mr. Kunkel, you had a question?
I'm trying to put this thing back on the rails here.
Hard to do.
I just noticed when you're speaking, you used the term hopeful several times.
Yes.
That's kind of like keeping your foot in the door in case you need to come back to us, which is great. I'm encouraged, hopeful, because you've been here rolling the rock uphill all those years that we've gone down in cost. I'm extremely encouraged that we will continue with your leadership to actually be very fiscally prudent with how you run that department. Yours is one of the ones I have the least worry about at this point, because you've been doing the actual work for many years now. So other than Safety Act, there really is not a lot of change. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
And
Sounds great.
also with our staff, it's been a huge uplift to have Randy following through, coming in as our leader, because she does have the same vision. So
We
it's also-
seem to be out of touch to some degree on the board sometimes, but we do know who's behind the curtain, moving and making and shaking and going. So I believe most of us are very encouraged with the idea of this moving forward. And obviously the proof has still been here year over year. Thank you. You've done a great job. Thank you.
And please take that back to everyone, that was the reception you received. Any other questions, comments?
Chair Altoff, I do have one.
I'm sorry, thanks, Cal. Go ahead, please.
So, in a previous slide, you talked about human trafficking. First of all, I want to say thank you for all the work you're doing in our community, especially the rehabilitation portion, because I think that's so important for improving our community as a whole. So back to my question. The human trafficking, I know you have a human trafficking task force. I was told by some people here in the county who did a study that 80% of the people who you see panhandling are actually human trafficking victims because they've tried to come in our country, and then whoever's led them into our country is making them panhandle and then give them money. Is that true?
So that's not something that's really been brought to us. We do have a human trafficking task force. I personally haven't been to the most recent training, although we do send people regularly to training on that issue. That is not something that's been brought to me. I don't know about 80%, but I would not doubt that some percentage that has to be true. But no, it's not something that has been reported back to us as a major concern or an area that law enforcement, who we rely on in that regards, it's not an area that they've been pushing to us. Although if it's brought to us, it's certainly something that we're willing to look into and again, get the human trafficking task force up and moving on that issue.
Yeah, thank you. It's just interesting. You see more and more people panhandling lately, especially with families, and that's just concerning. So, thank you.
Yeah.
Ms. Campbell.
Yeah, so I'm going to back it up just a little bit because you made a comment earlier on, and I think it had to do with the opioid dollars and that sort of thing, and you said those dollars go to county mental health. Okay, could you explain a little bit more, like what you mean by that? Because I know where some of that money. I know, like New
yes.
Directions was part of it, probably.
Well, I don't know if
They're not going directly to New Directions. They're
Goes to
going,
mental health
they're
board?
going
They're
directly to
to
the mental health board.
To the that's what I wanted to get
Yeah.
The mental health
clarification.
board is making the outpatient decision.
Based on
Yes.
that. Okay.
Based
So-
on the criteria that are established in the settlement. I mean,
we
You can't do anything with them. They've got to be.
Right.
It's directed based on what that settlement called for.
we don't have any control on, it goes to the mental health board and it's all their call, how that money is used.
Which I thought was the case, but when I didn't hear board, I thought, okay, is there some other way that money?
Broader category, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And no, the
Got it.
answer is no.
The state's attorney could have control. They've opted to use the tool that is the mental health board to make the best decisions. I mean, you yielded your authority.
We-
on that.
we-
And I
yeah.
think the mental health board appreciates it.
Okay. You gave it to the experts.
All right, thank you, appreciate that.
Any other questions? Yes, Mr. Short.
On the opioids in general, and I know we've seen increased drug deaths. So you had the lawsuit against the pharmaceutical manufacturers. There's a settlement. They're still manufacturing and selling opioids, correct?
Correct.
So are we seeing with the opioids deaths, and obviously you're prosecuting people that are dealing illegal narcotics and what have you. Are the opioid deaths that we're seeing in the county, is there any delineation between people that are dying because of prescription versus
So yes.
where is the majority of it coming from? Is it now that we have an issue with drugs flowing up from the border? I know horse tranquilizers now are complicating the fentanyl situation.
So fentanyl's the big problem. So we work with the coroner's office. The coroner's office notifies us almost instantaneously of any case where they believe there's a suspected overdose. Our office has a small specialized unit that then reaches out to the law enforcement, who law enforcement are investigating every death, right? And so sometimes, the coroner's office, they really take it seriously and they'll notify us on everything. So it's not uncommon for them to notify us on a death that doesn't turn out to be an overdose. But we're still working with law enforcement, trying to identify what the drug was, which will obviously come from an autopsy. 4 to 6 weeks later, we'll find out what the drug that caused the death was. But then we look and try to identify the source. Right now, it's fentanyl. It's fentanyl, it's fentanyl, it's fentanyl. It's fentanyl when people don't think they're getting fentanyl. People think that they're getting cocaine. People think that they're getting a pill, like a Xanax, that is now pressed with fentanyl. Fentanyl, fentanyl, fentanyl is what's happening right now. Where it's like coming from, I mean, our capabilities are so limited. We're not able to track things across the country, let alone into south of the border, across the world. We aren't able to get that far. We do track as far as we can. We just recently charged out of Crystal Lake a drug-induced homicide where we charged the person who delivered to the victim. We then charged the person who delivered to the person who delivered to the victim and another person. So we went 3 up in the chain, but that was still, I mean, that went as far as Rockford, Illinois. So to get much further than that, without cooperation of these people, it's not happening.
So when it goes up the chain like that and goes to Rockford, is there a point that the federal authorities get involved, or?
So we try. So many of our local agencies have people either within the DEA task force. I know Crystal Lake does, and I believe and the sheriff's office does as well. So then they're able to obviously work with the DEA, who works, countrywide, outside the country. But again, it just kind of depends, a unique case, a unique set of circumstances. Oftentimes, if it gets involved with the DEA, we're not privy to what happens from there. They might be tracing it further than where we are, but we're limited in McHenry County to prosecuting the crime that is directly tied to McHenry County.
Understood. And I appreciate the approach that the state's attorney's office has taken on it. I mean, it's
Challenging.
Well, I think kind of what you're getting at a little bit is because of the settlement, are we seeing doctors prescribe less so that we're having less of a problem on that side, but there's such a big problem on the other side?
Yeah.
It's hard to differentiate, right? I think that's kind of where you were going a little bit too.
I mean, it's like.
Has that even helped, the fact that they got sued and they're.
So it's more illicit fentanyl that we've been seeing. We have charged and prosecuted a doctor before for over-prescribing. We did that a couple of years ago. I think that made a difference. I really do. It gained big attention that we're looking. And so we do look in cases that are involving prescription pills that are prescription pills, but we think that maybe were misused and or overprescribed. We do investigate that. We do subpoenas. We do subpoenas to figure out why was this person being prescribed 120 oxycodone for back pain? Is that legitimate, or should they have known that they were an addict who was just seeking pills? So we do look into all of those things. That's less of a problem right now. Not that it's not a problem, but it's not as big as the fentanyl.
And I think you're getting assistance from that medical community as well, with
For
regard
sure.
to that. Mr. Kunkel.
Yes, and pharmaceutical manufacturers post their exorbitant fines now have altered their composition, they're less addictive, they're less long-term, they're faster reaction. Just having come on off shoulder surgery, I can tell you, Tylenol worked as effectively. So I believe they've done their job to whatever control they have. The rest, of course, is up to you, law enforcement, and fentanyl is the issue at this point.
And that, again, is why we brought the suit against the cannabis, because the false advertising is what can cause people to get further than they're anticipating, thinking, I'm just going to use this to sleep, and maybe this is not, if that's a false statement, then you need to make sure people are aware of that. So that was, again, what that was about, because I know a lot of people think it was just against cannabis sales. It was not. It was against the false advertising of what.
And those were recreational dispensaries as well.
Yes.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you very much for your presentation. Is there consensus by the committee to send both the public defenders and the state's attorney's budget to the full board for consideration? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, consensus was given. Thank you very much. Okay, I don't believe that there is any old business reports. No reports? No need for executive session. I'll take a motion to adjourn. Mr. Kunkel, Ms. Campbell, all those in favor say aye.